Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Mas, the official podcast of Somos Mas NM, and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Beoff. Joining me this evening, we have the one, the only Earl Nieto. Earl, glad you're with us this evening. 30 seconds. 30 seconds into the show, Earl.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, we are here. We're back. We're not under any hurricane warning, hurricane watch, anything of that nature. Thanks to Hurricane Hilary. The club is back in town. The club is going to be taking on Oakland Roots tomorrow night out at the lab. Earl, first and foremost, how was your weekend? How have you been? How are things? And how is it that you are now a tarantula tamer?
Well, you see, I don't know where you want me to start. How was my weekend? My weekend was great. Me and Marlena were kidless this past weekend, so we actually got to go hang out and just enjoy each other. I sound like John Cena speaking Mandarin right now. If you don't know what that sounds like, it sounds something like this. My point.
Okay.
So this past weekend, me and Marlena got to enjoy just each other. We didn't have any kid with us, so we had just date weekend. So we went to eat at Tucano's, the new and improved Tucano's. Really good, by the way.
That's right. It was shut down for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, they shut down for quite a while, and they redid their entire menu, redid their entire atmosphere in the building, and I love it better than I did before. So we were able to go hang out there for a little bit. We went and hung out with some friends, went bowling, and then just went back to the hotel and just relaxed and waited for Saturday. But overall, we had a really, really good weekend. What was your second question?
Tarantula tamer. How is it that you're a tarantula tamer?
Yeah, so I became a tarantula tamer about 7:30 tonight, where I was told, "Hey, you have a secret word, and your secret word is tarantula."
All right.
So somehow I had to get tarantula in there.
Yeah, if you had, I think that one would have been fairly obvious if you'd randomly thrown in like tarantula, because at no point have I ever heard you talk about spiders. So
yeah, don't have ever talked about spiders when they're crawling here on my roof or back there on my wall somewhere. Regardless of that, I was told that tarantula was the word of the day, and tarantula it is. So I became a self-certified tarantula tamer. And so with that, Maya, you can now go to sleep. Love you. Good night.
Gee, Earl, way to get rid of your daughter. How nice of you. How is so you and I were actually texting last week, and you had reached out to potentially do something on Saturday. I told you I was going to be reffing. I didn't know what my schedule was. Ended up doing 6 matches up at the soccer complex throughout the weekend. By the way, folks, there is a critical shortage of referees across youth sports, particularly soccer. And it's not just youth soccer. It's all of them. If you have any sort of interest whatsoever, you can get U.S. Soccer certified to become a grassroots referee. There is a small charge involved with that, and just to do the course. And then, of course, you got to do buy your uniform and all that kind of stuff. But the leagues in and around town will pay you for your time, and it helps out the kids. There's a tournament coming up this weekend, the High Desert Stampede, I believe is the name of it. It is a critical shortage, I should say, of referees, and they are on the verge of canceling a entire age group worth of games. So if you are interested at all in doing that, please reach out. I can help you get started. I can help you figure out where to go and how to do that. It's something I do. I enjoy doing it. It gets me out of the house. It gets me exercise. It gets me up and moving. If you're one of those people who tracks your steps and all that kind of fun stuff. In 6 matches I had 3 center assignments and 3 AR assignments. I did somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 miles for like I said, 6 U11 and matches. So
all I heard out of all that gibberish you just said was eggs are sides.
Another secret word of the day.
No, you said eggs are sides. That's a good way to get eggs or sides or something.
I said exercise.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. But yeah, so you and I talked about doing something ahead of the game on Saturday. Obviously, unfortunately, you and I did not get the chance to sit down and hang out and watch the game together. But Saturday night, San Diego, which was facing down Hurricane Hilary, as it barreled up through Monterey into Arizona, Nevada, and California. United came from behind 2 times to pick up a 2-2 draw against San Diego Loyal on Saturday. Kyle Colonna and Armando Moreno picking up the goals for United on the evening. Earl, what's your initial reaction to the draw on Saturday?
It's not a loss, so I'll take it.
That is true.
I believe it or not, I did get a chance to talk to Mondo at the end of the match. And he pen palled me while he was waiting for his flight. And I asked him what his thoughts were before he scored the game tying goal.
Okay.
And this is what he thought. If you didn't hear what he said, it was,
you want to see something cool?
You want to see something cool?
All right.
So I was impressed with the way we played against San Diego. I mean, the entire match, we looked good. We looked really good the entire match. And going down 1-0 5 minutes into the match was not a good start, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then turning around and scoring that goal off of another set piece. I can't say much more about how we played. I thought we played really, really good, and I was impressed with the hunger that we showed. When it came to halftime, I was actually sitting outside the Cheesecake Factory because a certain someone was at a bachelorette party that I was not invited to because I'm not part of the wedding party. And my thought of the first half was,
yeah, they had us the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they had us the first half because they scored and then we scored and they just looked more hungry the first half, but we were still there. We were still trying to play. We were still showing that we wanted to play, and we were consistently looking for that winning or that lead goal. Yeah, I don't want to watch that.
You can refuse to watch it all you want, but it is a highlight from the match.
That's good for you. But yeah, so like I said, we didn't back down to San Diego, who is a playoff caliber team. Mm-hmm. And that's just where it's at. We played well enough that we probably should have won, and we let some small mistakes get to us and get goals, such as the header in the 3rd and the 4th minute. But other than that, we played good. Mm-hmm. Good enough to show that we have talent. And it begs me to ask the question, dare I ask this question? Yeah, fuck it, why not? Is Eric Quill the answer?
That's a big question. That is a big question, given the fact that he hasn't even had half of a season under his belt yet with the club. I get
it. He's only had half a season. But in that half a season, we're on a 3-game losing streak. And now we are 5 games winless. 4 games winless. Sorry. Yeah, 4 games winless now. And then the first match that Eric is not there, that Coach Quill's not there, show up in San Diego facing down a hurricane to tie it at the death and walk home with and steal 3 points and walk home with 1?
That's a very, very big question. Robert in the chat, appreciate you being here as always. We will get to that here in just a little bit. Robert, I do promise you we will be discussing that as well because I want to pick your brain and Harry's if he is here. But Earl, to your question, is Eric Quill the answer? I mean, Coach Quill comes in. We're in the middle of a poor run of form. Obviously his first couple of matches at the helm, we don't pick up a win. Now, in that, you have to remember in that period, he had very few days of actually training with the club. Very few days to implement his system. And once he did finally get things the way that he wanted it, we reeled 5 unbeaten, which you can't discount that. Now, you go back, you look at Orange County. Obviously, we probably should have won that. We didn't put away our chances that we had. We fell into playing what Orange County wanted to do that night. You look at Hartford. Hartford, we just completely shat the bed. I mean, realistically, again, if not for 2 goals called back for offside in the first half, that could have been a very ugly game for us. We did not particularly play well. We didn't handle the pace of Hartford. And then San Antonio is San Antonio. Obviously, neither you or I felt a win was coming for us in that one. A draw would have been nice, but neither of us expected a win there. So I think you have to look at it through this lens. San Antonio is not a gimme match by any stretch of the imagination. So did we underperform still? Yes, we did. We also underperformed in the prior 2. But here with this match against San Diego, this is still Eric Quill's fingerprints all over this. Was he on the touchline for this match? No. But he was there throughout the week in preparation. He was in San Diego for this match. He was actually in the press box Saturday night. So it's not like he wasn't involved in the preparation for this. Yes, you had Mac on the touchline, but this is Eric Quill's club. This is Eric Quill's vision for what he wants them to do. And so seeing what he is getting out of these guys, seeing the resurgence of Sergio Rivas, of Armando Moreno, seeing Daniel Bruce contributing the way that he is, this is Eric Quill's club. Now, when he came in, we were at the time in a playoff position, but he had the unenviable task of turning around a club that was sliding. That was sliding down the standings, that was sliding in form, that was not performing up to expectations. I think we can all agree with that. Like, yes, we're in the playoff spot, but were we playing up to where we wanted to be? No. I think Eric Quill is the answer. And you see things changing. The signing of Nicky Hernandez. You see Isaac Zuleta. You see Jacobo Reyes coming in. You now see the newest signing, Zico Bailey, coming in. These are all guys who are going to potentially have a tremendous impact on this club, not only for the remainder of this year, but hopefully next year as well. Because if Quill can keep together the guys that he wants, and I would be willing to bet we see a lot of turnover this offseason, so that Quill can get his guys in, the guys that he's been scouting. And again, it's still very early. We haven't even had half a season under Quill yet, but I think he is the answer, at least to the Troy and Troy 2.0 era of New Mexico United. I think Quill has got these guys playing really well, and I think it's going to be beneficial for this club in the long run, having a different philosophy, having a different person at the helm from a different system.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a question that I asked because, yeah, he was at training all week. Yeah, he was at the game in the press box. Yeah, his fingerprints were all over this match, and it was obvious, but it wasn't him running the show. It was Mac running the show. So at the end of the day, Mac gets credit for this win.
Well, yes. Not a win, but yes, Mac does get a draw on his.
Yeah, he gets credit for the not loss.
Yeah, but at the same time, again, it's Mac works closely with Coach Quill throughout the week. They work together to put the game plan into place, set the roster, figure out the team sheet and the subs that they wanted to have, ready to go for the trip to San Diego. And, ultimately it was up to Mac to make the substitution decisions, based on the flow of the game, decide who to put in, who to bring out. And to be honest with you, I questioned a couple of them there, why bring out Santi there towards the end. But I felt like Mac did a good job. I think Mac managed the game to the system that Quill wants to run. I think he managed the substitutions well, the timing. I think he, kept the guys motivated and going forward in an environment where the loyal supporters, all 4,500 of them that were there braving the weather, they make it a tough place to play. And San Diego is a very good team. They have been consistent throughout the season. So while you can sit here and say, yeah, it was Mac that did it, I mean, honestly, it's the same conversation. You look at guys like, I mean, you could say probably Colin Kaepernick or some other guys, Josh Allen, even, are the Dick Foles, are they game managers? And that's what Mac did on Saturday. He managed the game and kept the guys, focused and doing what they needed to do.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, you can say what you want. And it's just an honest question that you have to ask yourself. Mm-hmm. And if I'm Peter, I'm asking that same question. Is Eric Quill the answer, or are we good with what we have being Mac? I mean, Mac managed exactly like you said. He managed the game well. Where we've seen and we've questioned it here live, where we're asking each other, what is up with the substitution policy that Eric Quill has going on?
Mm-hmm. We certainly have questioned that. And again, to that point, yes, Mac manages the game, but we have yet to see Mac put his style, his fingerprints. We've yet to see a side that is, Mac designed. And so that's why I can't sit here and say that, that Mac is the answer over Eric Quill, because I think Quill has done a fantastic job in getting the guys motivated and ready to go, for the vast majority of these matches, and I can't go against Quill at this point. Give him the, I'm going to give Quill the benefit of the doubt for the remainder of the season. He's probably going to get the benefit of the doubt for next season as well. Now, if we start out next year, like, El Paso is right now 10 matches winless, it might be an issue next year. But for now, Quill has my vote of confidence.
And yeah, he still has my vote of confidence. Don't get me wrong. He still has my vote of confidence. I mean, we still have a good quarter of the season to play. So, I mean, we have, 14, 15 more games to play?
We have 11.
Okay. That was quick math. Regardless, that's still...
I was looking at it earlier. We have 11 games left.
That's still a good quarter of the way to go, or third of the way of the match of season to go. There's still plenty of time for a strong playoff push, and if we can work off of what we did in San Diego tomorrow night, I think we should be fine. I think we should be. But we're not talking about tomorrow night. We're still talking about Saturday night. Mm-hmm. What was your take on Schneider Borgelin and how he played?
I thought he played well. I thought he had some he didn't have very many opportunities. I did like what I saw out of him, though. He was playing off the shoulder of the defenders. He was putting himself in positions to where he could be dangerous, Again, he's been with the club a handful of days, had a handful of training sessions. But I liked what I saw. I liked the energy. I liked the effort. I can't really complain about anything that I saw out of him on Saturday night. I wish he had a few more opportunities. I really and truly do. Like, I feel like, again, that's something that we've struggled with all season, is creating opportunities, is creating chances for our forwards. And I think that, here in the final weeks, and we talked about last week, is he going to have time to gel? And, we saw, like I said, we saw a couple opportunities. We saw a couple chances for him to potentially become involved and be dangerous, but he looked good. I liked what I saw out of him. I think he's going to pay. I think he could potentially pay off here. In the final few weeks of the season. I mean, looking at what he did, one shot on target, one shot off target, one block shot, an additional chance created. So I mean, he was active, he was involved. You can't ask for anything more from a guy who is just coming into the side. Did you see something different? Because I mean, I don't know where you're at on him after one match.
No, so I 100% agree with you. I mean, he showed flashes of what we can be. He showed that he shows a lot of holdup. He draws attention because of MLS side, because of his experience that he has training with Messi. I mean, he shows a bunch of potential.
Mm-hmm.
So what I saw out of him, the first couple minutes of the match, I thought, I don't know about this guy. We got another what the shit is his name? The guy that's up north now.
Romario.
We got ourselves another Romario Williams. But then he broke into the game and then showed what he can do. He drew attention to where it got guys open. He shows that people have to respect him.
Yeah, they'll have to. He scored a number of goals for Inter Miami 2 last year in MLS Next Pro. It's one of those things where a striker comes into a system that he hasn't played in before. It's going to take him some time. And that's not to say that he doesn't have a high footballing IQ or anything like that, but to gel with new teammates, it's always going to be a factor. No matter what team they go to, no matter what sort of system they're coming from or going to, you're going to have that time to gel. Now, 11 matches to play, and we're going to knock 4 of them out here in the next 2 weeks. So,
So before we go on, I do need to touch on Harry's comment about the rankings. So going back to it, Harry's rankings, this is Harry's personal opinion, which mean, I mean, they made a lot because Harry also watches wrestling. So, Harry, you have a safe spot in my heart still. Regardless of that, Harry's rankings of Somos Mas hosts. 1 is the guy who hasn't been here in 5 weeks now, which I hope you're doing fine. I know you're probably listening. I hope you're doing fine. 2 is the guy up there, for whatever reason, someone likes this guy. And because of Robert, a distant third team Earl. So with that comment,
Everyone found that funny. I mean, seriously, how does anyone funny? If you laugh at it,
text in on the hotline. Text coming in on the hotline here. Apparently, I am number 1 host. So,
I mean, that might be a bias at this point.
It might be at this point, but I will take it. I will gladly take any bias. So
if you laughed at Harry's comment, there's something seriously wrong with you. Going back to our normally scheduled broadcast.
No. So I've been told there's no bias. So no bias. But yeah, we looked a lot better against San Diego than we did against San Antonio and even against Hartford or Orange County, which is good to see. It's good to see a stronger performance, better cohesion, particularly through the midfield is where I thought that we played really well on Saturday. You could see guys getting forward, and Sergio Rivas is a guy that he had a bit of a renaissance a few weeks ago with Quill at the helm, and for him to have the showing that he did on Saturday, I felt he was taking possession deeper in the defensive half and driving the ball forward, being creative with the ball, forcing the issue with defenders. And that's something that we need to see out of Sergio. He did that was something that he did excessively well last year. And it's good to see that out of him again here, this year with Quill.
Yeah, definitely. There was a point in this season where he was stagnant. He was just hanging out, and he was just there. Really, he was there. But ever since Eric came on and has taken over, he's had a more pivotal role in what is going on. I mean, he's touching the ball a lot more. He's taking shots like you saw just a little bit ago. Yeah, I mean, he definitely has a strong pivotal role. And this guy up here has his text line. I have my own text line. My nephew Javi Nero, a new fan from last week, he has a question.
Okay, let's have it.
Where did you guys get the name Somos Mas?
That's a great question, Javi. So initially we were I did another show back in year one, and then Earl was doing the Somos Niños news. Earl and Jacob were both doing that, and Jacob and I sat down when we decided that we wanted to do the podcast together. And when we talked about naming, we decided that we wanted to be more than just one thing. We want to be more than just United coverage. So we decided, Somos Mas, we are more. So we try to, we do cover the New Mexico Runners. We talk about sports at large. We talk about different topics, and we'll probably talk some fantasy football here in a few weeks. We talk baseball. We talk basketball. Talk a little bit. So we're more than just United. While that is our focus, we do talk other things. And so, Jacob and I felt like that was a fitting title for the show.
Hold on a minute, asshole. Hold on a minute, asshole. I need to roll back the tape because the way the story I remember goes was we were back and forth, all three of us.
We were. Yeah.
And we weren't sure what was going on and what we were going to do. We were looking for a rebrand. And I was driving home from work one day from Albuquerque back to Moriarty, and I stumbled across something Real Madrid, like Somos Real Madrid or something crazy along that lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then I text you guys, what about Somos Mas? Because we technically are more than just United Soccer.
Yeah.
And we had a board meeting and a vote of confidence, and 4 years later, here we are with Somos Mas.
Yeah, because initially when Jacob and I did this, we were Suncast, and then we decided that just it wasn't a thing anymore because Somos Niños news went away, and we were grateful to be able to use the name Suncast to begin with. So, but yeah, no, Earl is correct. It was a discussion between all three of us. It wasn't just Jacob and myself. Earl has been a big part of this as well. So I don't want to downplay Earl's role in Somos Mas.
I'm all right.
But no, yeah, there you go. That's our origin story, Javi. Like I said, I've been podcasting since year one of the show, or year one of the club, and then we did Somos with Suncast starting season 2, and then we eventually morphed into Somos Mas.
And then we did World Cup cast.
Yeah, we did World Cup cast.
5 days straight.
Yeah, that was a lot. I don't think we're gonna do that for the next one. Although next time the Men's World Cup comes around, we may
be there.
We're gonna do our best to do a live remote from World Cup 2026. So,
which when you text me when you started moving, so here's a funny story. And Marlena can vouch for this. I think she's already in bed, so if you are, good night. I love you. When you text me like 2 weeks before you're moving, hey, what are you doing July 8th? I'm like, I don't think anything. My crazy ass mind decided to get looking to see what was happening July 8th. Turns out there was a Gold Cup match in Vegas.
Yeah.
Or California, somewhere on the west side of America. And I told Marlena, this motherfucker's going to want to drive to Vegas or California for the World Cup, for a Gold Cup match. And she says, okay. I said, and I'm all for it. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
And then this asshole decides to say, no, I just need help moving.
Yeah, I wish the plans had been different that weekend. I really and truly do. But, it's part of life. But, so yeah, way off track here. But thank you for the question, Javi. Do absolutely appreciate that. But yeah, I think things looked a lot better Saturday night. I think we did a lot of things really well. And you're looking at these final 11 matches. Again, we have one opponent in these final 11 matches, Las Vegas, that is below the playoff line currently. So, Oakland has, you look at the rest, again, 10 out of 11 against playoff level teams at the moment, and not a single one of them is going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, particularly for New Mexico United, who only just got back into town last night. We mentioned it earlier, Hurricane Hilary had some effects on travel out in Arizona, California, Nevada. The club was unable to leave Sunday. They knew prior to the match on Saturday that the flight on Sunday was going to be canceled. So the front office jumped into gear, tried to find another means to get the club back in town. They attempted to book a bus from San Diego to Phoenix, where they would have flown from Phoenix to Albuquerque. The bus got canceled, so the team stayed in San Diego until last night, where they took the last flight out of town, out of San Diego. Got in late last night. They did do their recovery and some rehab in San Diego over the weekend. There was a fantastic facility that they used. They were not able to do any sort of work on the ball, but they did do other conditioning and strengthening and all that kind of stuff on Monday. They did train late today, which included the newest addition, Zico Bailey, who will be available for selection tomorrow night. So we don't know for a fact whether or not he will be part of the 18 yet. Rosters had to have been submitted, I believe, today for that. So I expect him to at least be available for selection. Whether or not he makes the 18, I don't know. But yeah, the club's back in town. They trained today, ready for Oakland Roots tomorrow. It was a bit of a lighter and later training session today because of the travel issues. Looking at this, obviously Oakland has put together a fairly solid season by any account. How hard is it for United to come in after really only having one day of training and dealing with the travel issues? Do you think that affects them tomorrow night against Oakland?
I don't think it does. We've already played Oakland before, so we kind of know what they have. They haven't made any major major mid-season splashes. So what they have is pretty much what they got. And I'm assuming that with Eric being in San Diego, I don't know how he got home. I don't know if he flew back with the team or if he flew back earlier, what his whole travel situation was like.
I'm assuming with the team.
My assumption is with the team. So with that gave him that much time to prepare for Oakland. So he didn't have to stress about, here's what United's doing, here we are. So he was able to focus on what was upcoming, being Oakland. So I'm assuming that with the flight home and with the long delay that they had in San Diego, they were able to at least sit down and talk about what Oakland has, get a quick overview of what we're going to see, and then take the trip out of town. So I'm not stressed about Oakland tomorrow night. Only because we seem to do better midweeks. We seem to do better on short notice. That's how we play.
Yeah. I whatever you've got playing, mute it, because I'm getting feedback. Yeah, and whatever I'm saying is like coming through your speakers. So, okay, I think that's better. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how much the travel is going to impact the guys. I mean, obviously, you would like to be home, you like to be training, you would like to have that extra day of a training session on the ball, particularly when you have another new player coming in, and with Borgelin coming in last week, you want more opportunities to try and gel and work on things together. That being said, back home, obviously they're going to get at least 2 nights of rest here at home. They're going to be playing at home in front of the faithful. My guess is probably around 7,000-8,000 tomorrow night. School is back in session, unfortunately, so that will drive attendance down somewhat. But yeah, again, back at home, a little bit of momentum now coming off of the San Diego match. I look at this. I did my preview earlier for 1017 The Team, and to me, it comes down to their back line for them. Paul Blanchette has done a fantastic job between the six for them. Babacar and Jai has been solid on their back line, and they've really kind of limited teams in their chances, on goal. Which obviously, if you do that, for the most part, you're going to have some level of success. But looking at those two in particular, they've really worked together well and helped anchor that Oakland defense. And offensively, they tend to lean on Johnny Rodriguez quite a bit. He is their leading scorer with 9 goals. He's a guy that's been with them since 2020, and I just don't know how much support he has around him. I mean, yeah, you've got a number of guys that 2, 3, 4 goal, 2, 3, 4 goals. I think it went at 4. I might just play like 2s and 3s if I remember what I looked at earlier. But against veteran players like what we have at the back, I think our defense, our back four stacks up a lot better against Oakland's front three, front two, however you want to look at it, than the other way around. I feel like we're a bigger mismatch offensively than they are. So those are my matchups to watch more so than the midfield. I know we've talked a lot about the midfield in recent weeks and over throughout the year, but that to me is what to watch this weekend. Which back four can contain the attacking three or 2 of the other side the best, particularly in space.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, if our midfield and attack can expose their back line and expose their midfield, then I think we're fine. If we can play Oakland the way we played San Diego, and just with the run of form that we had in that match, I mean, I don't see any issue with Oakland at all. I feel a whole lot more confident about Oakland than I do about San Diego and than I do about Sacramento or San Antonio combined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that, and I completely understand why. Even though we did beat Sacramento 3-0 a few weeks ago, I think Oakland is a far more beatable team than the others, like you mentioned, and Orange County just flying off the charts right now. But yeah, I think Oakland, while they've been solid at the back, they are beatable. And so you look at the upcoming matches. Obviously we have Oakland, tomorrow night, and then Saturday we have. Make sure I have this correct here, because I have a whole bunch of notes. We have FC Tulsa on Saturday. Honestly, I think Roots is more beatable than FC Tulsa is. That's just me. I know Harry might disagree with me there, but I think if we're going to pick up points here, short notice, again, Wednesday, Saturday for the next 2 weeks, you got to look at Oakland, you got to look at Vegas as your 2 best possibilities to pick up 3 points in each of those, compared to FC Tulsa and even Charleston Battery at this point. But 11 matches ago, you've got to get momentum somewhere. You've got to build that. I mean, we're sitting right out of the playoff picture. I think we are 3 points back of El Paso, who again are 10 matches winless at this point. RGV is still very hit or miss in their form. We could easily overtake them, and Rising obviously still sitting at 32 points as well with their mess of a season. But yeah, because realistically at this point, you're looking at 4 through 8 still up for grabs, because I don't see Sacramento and San Antonio, ceding a whole lot of room, and even Orange County is probably more than likely going to pull away just a little bit. But we've got to get something going here at some point. We've got to get a run of form. We've got to get some confidence going if we want to make the playoffs and even carry that into the playoffs for potentially a playoff win.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm looking at the table right now, and if we get on a run of form and start winning, you said otherwise, but I see us able to capture third. But that would mean that Oakland falls off the counter and we decide to take that spot. But that would take a lot of miracle work, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, we're 11 points back of Orange County right now. And, looking at our schedule, I'm going to look at Orange County's schedule because I don't know what theirs looks like. But the back end, and I've talked about the back end of our schedule is just awful. Orange County has Sac Republic. They've got Vegas. They've got El Paso, Colorado, San Antonio, Phoenix, Oakland, San Antonio. They've had San Antonio twice still. So, we would need help along the way. And we would, number one, we got to get the results ourselves, and then we need a lot of help in order to take third. Because, I think there's a lot of beatable, a lot of winnable matches in here for Orange County, particularly Vegas, El Paso, Colorado, and Phoenix, Monterey Bay as well. So I think Orange County is in a pretty good position to finish out their season. So I don't know about third. Honestly, at this point, I could see us maybe getting 6, 7. But again, it's a very difficult end of the season, and it's got to start off, well tomorrow night against Oakland.
Yeah, 100%. We can beat around the bush all we want, but I'm going to call it 2-0. Us.
That's not a bad scoreline. I could see it happening. I absolutely could, because again, Oakland is not a team that's necessarily going to threaten you a whole lot, I don't know about 2-0. I would like to see 2-0. I think that's a very much.
Hang on, I need to change my score.
Okay.
2-1. We do score 2, but I give it 1 because I do not have faith in Alex Tambakis keeping a clean sheet.
He just had 3 in 4 matches.
Once again, I don't have faith in Alex Tambakis keeping a clean sheet.
Okay then.
Not against a playoff team.
Okay.
Let me clarify that part. Not against a playoff caliber team sitting 4th right now.
Do you not remember us getting a clean sheet against Sacramento a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
But he also played his freaking life out.
All right, so Earl's going 2-1 tomorrow night against Oakland Roots. I would like to see us put 2 past. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0 tomorrow night, Oakland. You got to start somewhere. I think Borgelin gets his first goal. I do think we see Bailey tomorrow, and I do want to talk to him about him in just a minute. So, but yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. And then FC Tulsa at the weekend. Tulsa is currently sitting 8th in the Eastern Conference, coming off. They've lost 3 of 4. They lost to the Rowdies, drew as Switchbacks, lost to Lou City, lost to Tampa Bay. So they lost to Tampa Bay twice in the past month. Their 1 win in their last 5 was over RGV. Tulsa's on the verge of falling out of playoff position.
Before we carry on to Tulsa, chat line blowing up. 2-1 from Javi. for United.
2-1. All right, there you go. There's Javi's prediction. We'll see what happens on Wednesday for you, Javi. Yeah, I mean, Tulsa's on the verge of falling out of the playoffs, and they have Miami and Detroit City knocking on the door, and even Loudoun only 5 points out of a playoff position there in the Eastern Conference. Again, top to bottom, I feel like the Western Conference is head and shoulders better than the East. And I know Harry has been tracking the record. I don't know the record off the top of my head. I know Jacob is tracking it as well.
FC Tulsa's record?
No, the interconference, like East versus West.
Oh.
Yeah, I know Harry was tracking. I know Jacob was tracking. I don't know what it's at myself, but we're kind of, us and Tulsa are kind of in the same boat. A good amount of disappointment, a lot of underachieving so far this year. I look at that one on Saturday, and I have to think FC Tulsa at home, a team that's lost 3 of 5. Not really a whole lot of confidence at this time, it seems. I've got to take us, I'm going to say 2-0 over FC Tulsa on Saturday at home. And please don't prove me wrong. I don't want to be wrong about that one. I just don't think that as good as Philip Goodrum is for Tulsa, I don't think that they have enough to come out to the lab and beat United.
And I feel different. FC Tulsa is a very, very talented team. I mean, you look at who they have. They have Milo Yosef, Marcus Epps, Philip Goodrum. That's just their attack. Their midfield, they have a bunch of nobodies. Really, Thomas McCabe is the only one that stands out to me. But then their defense, I mean, there's one name that stands out. Rashid Tete returns back to Albuquerque to face the team that got him started in the USL out here. I believe Rashid was the Rookie of the Year 2019.
I think so. I'd have to look it up, but I think you are correct.
Yeah, I want to say he was Rookie of the Year 2019. I love Rashid. With the passion, love him.
Super nice guy.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely feel different about the 2-0. I do see us winning, but once again, I don't have faith in our goalkeeper.
Okay.
Which, if anyone on the United front office powers that be that have staff that go out and scout people such as Itamar, there is a U.S. men's national team, former U.S. men's national team goalkeeper sitting right now available with the name of Bill Hamid.
No.
What do you mean, no?
I mean, yes, he is, but no, I don't. I would not bring in Bill.
So
Hamid.
you would rather take Alex Tambakis over U.S. men's national team experience, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, you look at what.
Besides the age factor. Besides the age.
I mean,
I know that's where your happy ass is going.
That's part of it, and yes, he played with Tim Howard, and he's been around for quite a while. He's on the downside of his career at this point. I wouldn't have any faith in Hamid, because you look at what you look at what Memphis has done this year, and with Hamid between the sticks, I mean, he wasn't great. That he didn't necessarily get a lot of time, but he wasn't great in his appearances for them. So I cannot get behind bringing in Bill Hamid, especially when we have a guy, in Alex Tambakis, who is more than capable of leading this team and picking up clean sheets.
I don't know about you, Seth. I'm trying to do my quick fact checks on you. Okay. So he started 10 times,
Mhm.
and of those 10, he has 2 clean sheets.
Mhm.
He has 29 saves and 12 goals allowed. I don't understand where you're coming from.
Oh, new chatter over here with us, Chris from Seek and Strike Collective. Appreciate you popping in, but hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope all is well with you. Can't get over on Atlanta United. Laura wins every time. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. You can sit here and say Atlanta United Laura, but Alex Sambakis never played a single minute for Atlanta United. Yes, he was the first signing in club history for Atlanta United, but it has no bearing on this whatsoever. I would take Sambakis over Hamid at this point. Again, Hamid's on the backside of his career. Didn't have a great year with Memphis. I couldn't justify the signing of him when you have, Sambakis and even Ford Parker behind him. I think we have a solid stable of keepers at this point that can do the job, and Alex has shown. And realistically, if you go back and watch the goals that we've conceded this year, the times that we've run into issues, it's when our center backs get beat. It's when our center backs get pushed up too far and they get beat on the break and they can't turn and make a play. And you can't put all of that on Alex. You can't. Like, Alex can only do so much. And if you look at some of the goals that have been scored, like, again, even Hartford, the back four were getting beat consistently by the pace that Hartford were putting out there. And all Alex can do is try to make himself as big as possible and try to limit the angle that any striker or winger or whoever's barreling at him has. So, I mean, if your back line is getting beat, again, like we were against San Antonio, like we were against Hartford, like we saw earlier in the season when we saw Kalen and Will, or Kalen and Sam getting sucked up into the middle, up near midfield, you're gonna have those issues.
Folks, this is the crazy gibberish talk Seth. This is the Seth that has not slept in 3 or 4 days, and it shows that delusion definitely has kicked in on this guy. So with that, my score prediction for FC Tulsa is far different from yours.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I don't have faith in Alex Tambakis. Or if you look him up on ESPN, Alexandros Tabakis, not even Tambakis, Tabakis.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I say 3-1 United.
3-1, yeah, okay. So you're leaning heavy into the attacks suddenly gelling once again.
Yes.
Okay. So is that due in large part due to Borgelin? Is it something else? Like, what is the factor that you're leaning in when you go to the offense? Picking up 5 goals in 2 matches this week.
I think it's Borgelin. I mean, he definitely impressed me this past weekend. With him only having 1 day to train with the club and then hop on a flight to go to San Diego to go face the Hurricane and then fly back. So with that, I mean, I have faith in him. I have trust in him that he can put some kind of run together on this squad and lead us to. Call me crazy, but I feel like he can do for us what Messi is doing over there in Miami, where he starts to win. He makes his club start winning.
So you're calling?
No. I'm not calling him Messi. I'm saying he can help us do what Messi's doing over there. Put some wins together to get us back on track.
Interesting. Okay.
And you can't even say anything about that because Messi has been here for 8 whole weeks and has already lifted a freaking title, which pains me because I am a huge Nashville fan. So watching my club, I mean, not really get decimated by Messi, but watching my club go head to head with Messi and lose, fucking hurts.
So yes, Inter Miami, obviously won Leagues Cup, but they're still sitting dead last in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, because Messi didn't come sooner.
Well, I mean, clearly it would be different if he had been here sooner, but I mean, they're behind Toronto, NYCFC, and even New York Red Bulls, who we love dearly, Troy and Zach. But yeah, it's I can't justify saying that he's going to have the Messi effect. I mean, is he going? As long as he can gel, I think there's a possibility of him being highly impactful. But the Messi effect, no, I don't go that far. Question over in the chat from Chris. But have we addressed the square balls in the mouth of goal? Oakland loves that. That is something that we hadn't actually discussed. But you are correct. It is something that Oakland loves to do. But with the system that Eric Quill likes to play, you don't see the center backs pushing up quite as much. You tend to see them, sitting back a little bit more, and they play a bit more compact through the middle. So those square balls are something that we shouldn't necessarily see a whole lot of, because you're going to have, depending on where Sam lines up, you may have Sam there at center back with just like Kalen and have him, stepping up. We're playing at CDM role, which I'm not as big of a fan of, where he can drop back into the box almost like a fifth defender and help fill that space there to prevent that from happening. But you look at the play of Kyle Colonna over the weekend, and even Kalen was better on Saturday night. I don't put a whole lot of faith in that square ball from Oakland. I just think that we have the ability to clog that middle there a bit better than what Oakland to do in terms of service. So, Earl, any thoughts on Chris's question there in the chat?
I don't know what he means by that last comment.
They're gonna be missing Formella from their team sheet.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. I mean, we don't really have the empty holes or the large holes on our defense that we had. Essentially, we have Kalen and Sam now camping in the backfield. Once in a while, we have Sam pushing up, but then Kalen moves over and fills that entire line. So I don't really see them getting through and attacking our backline harsh, mostly because they don't really have much of a threat going anyways, versus considering what they have on their attack. I named off a couple names, but with that, if we can stifle those three names, and I know we're not going to see all three names, we're probably going to see two of them, maybe one. If we can stifle that attack with our defensive midfield and our back line, then I think we're fine. I think they get one in on us, but I don't think it's a 1v1 with Alex Tambakis. I think it's a set piece goal that we seem to love to be giving up these days.
Yeah, that was something I was not terribly happy with on Saturday. But given the nature of that header, the flicked on header, and then the one that they scored on, I mean, there's really not a lot you can do about that. A bit unfortunate there. But yeah, it should be an interesting week to see what happens, to see, how the new signings fit in. Does Borgelin get his first goal? He almost had one on Saturday, but does he get his first one, either Wednesday or Saturday this week? And then how does Bailey fit in? Then Bailey's the last topic I wanted to get to this evening. Zico Bailey coming over from San Antonio FC. Obviously, details of the move were not announced by either club, but it sounds like he'll be with us through at least the remainder of the season. He's a guy that, talking to Robert and Harry, that they're both very big on, ton of pace, a guy who plays well out of the back. He tends to swing out wide, on the right side. So it'd be interesting to see, how he fits in. I think defensively, he's an improvement over, obviously having either, Brucey or Harry Swartz out there. But I'm excited to see what he can do. You and I were talking earlier about we weren't sure whether or not we'd seen him before, and we have not seen him against New Mexico United at any point. But he's a guy that comes in with a ton of experience. Played for FC Cincinnati, played for San Antonio, spent some time in the LA Galaxy system as well. So a guy with a lot of experience. He is very young still. He is only 22. I'm excited for this. For this signing in particular, just because I want to see what he can do. But when it was announced, I was a little bit surprised because I felt like our defense had been fairly good over the past month or two, aside from the San Antonio match, which obviously we just got burned, and we got burned against Hartford as well. But it'll be interesting to see how he fits in. I was really kind of surprised that we didn't sign another midfielder or an attacker. Now, we will have Bees back before too long. I believe Bees is still 1, maybe 2 weeks away. I don't know for certain. I have an idea of his timeline, but I don't know when he'll be back based off of things that I've seen. So maybe that's the reason we didn't go that route. Were you surprised by the signing, Earl? Do you think we should have signed someone else, particularly in a different position, or is this a necessary move?
No, I definitely think it's a necessary move. I mean, you look at what we've had going on. Our defense, they're tired. We've had Kalen play all but one match, I believe. We've had Sam play all but one match. We've had Will play every match. And then Suggs, he is our super sub at this point, where he's came on and he's now probably broke 22,000 minutes that he's played. I mean, 21,000. I don't know. My math is pretty terrible.
He's probably close to 20,200.
I want to say probably more because I was at the Sacramento match when he hit 20,000, and that was 5 weeks ago. So he's inching close, definitely to 21,000, somewhere around there. 20,500. I don't know. Regardless, 20,500. We can settle on that. So our defense is definitely tired. So seeing a defensive person come in, I'm happy for it because now that allows more depth on defense. That allows Kalen to get a break. That allows Sam to get breaks. My big question, though, is say Zico comes on and shows out. Does that spell the end for the person he came on and sub for?
I think it depends. I think it really depends. I
know what you're thinking. This is not me saying this is the replacement for Sam. I don't believe that.
No, because Sam doesn't play out wide.
Right.
So,
I don't believe this is a Sam Hamilton replacement. But does this, and it could be a tactic change where now we have Will Seymour playing his primary role being central defensive mid.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be, again, I mentioned it earlier, Zico comes in, he is definitely more defensive minded than, either Brucey or Swartz or even, not, I wouldn't say Suggs, but, whoever you're going to throw out there on the right, so it could be, it could be that when one of those guys, loses, that almost a right back, wing back spot again, but you also have the ability to push them up higher. If you choose to keep them. Now, that would be a bit of a system change from what we've seen so far. And now, to be fair, Coach Kroll has put out a number of different systems, but they all play similarly in how he wants to create and push the ball through the middle in order to open up those wide areas. So But yeah, and to Chris's point, kind of chat, we keep wingers up, won't have to be too creative, overly utilizing players like Brucey Seymour, etc. Yeah, I mean that all plays into it as well. You could certainly throw. Obviously, Brucey's been playing up top a lot more than we have seen him at the wing back or a winger position this year. And so, I mean, you bring in Zico, you could put him there at the right. Put Brucey up as the wing, put him up at top. You can still use him in that role, but then you get to also potentially not run Josh Suggs quite as much off the left, and then put Harry over there, put someone else over there that can get the ball in from the wider areas, or can overlap with Santi a bit better, and play that ball in. I think it gives you a little bit stronger of an attack off of both sides with Zico, and then either like I said, put Harry put Harry on the left, Santi up higher. Even put Austin on the left. I think Austin's great out wide too. Which I would love to see more of Austin this year, which we're running out of opportunities. But it'll be interesting to see what happens the final few weeks of the season. It'll be interesting to see, again, how do the guys gel? How do things work? How does Quill's system with the guys that he wants to come in? How does it, have an overall effect on the club? How does it affect the guys that have been here? And we're obviously going to have a lot more to talk about in the coming weeks and even into the off season, where we try to figure out, what moves does Quill make? How big of a roster turnover do we see in the off season? Does making the playoffs affect that or not? I think if we make the playoffs, I think we still see a bit more turnover than we have, just because, Quill wants his guys. So, Earl, any closing thoughts before we get out of here this evening?
I don't have any closing thoughts. I mean, I was impressed with what I saw Saturday. I'm hoping it carries on into tomorrow and into next Saturday, into this coming Saturday. The next 11 matches are going to be very interesting. I mean, that's where it's at. It's going to be very, very interesting and very intriguing football to be played the next 4 weeks, I think, is where it plans out to be.
Yeah, the regular season is winding down rather quickly. We have, I think, from today, I think it's 6, maybe 7 weeks worth of matches left to play before the playoffs. I mean, there's still hope. There's still hope that New Mexico United can make the playoffs. It's going to be a very difficult schedule. Again, 10 out of 11 opponents. 10 out of 11 opponents are currently in playoff positions. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. You've heard our predictions for this week. We will obviously be back next week, 9
and
o'clock.
Before Seth signs off, I did have the Facebook up the entire show. For the 10 people that we had watching live on Facebook, I thank you. And I'm sure Seth and Jacob, I probably speak just for them. Chris, it was great having you in the chat. Javi, I know you're texting in. That's cool. We hope you as well. He just texted me as I said his name. We hope you have a great night as well. Have a good day tomorrow at school. But for the 10 people that were watching on Facebook, we appreciate you more than anything. Believe it or not, we actually do on YouTube. I didn't really watch on YouTube what was going on, but the Facebook side definitely was off the hook. My biggest comment is, if you're watching and you're lurking, that's cool. I'm okay with that. Just make sure your thumbs work and hit that like button, hit that share button. If you feel so inclined to, there's a cool star button you could do. You could do all kinds of fun nonsense on that thing. We're working on getting able to get subscriptions out there to you guys. You guys can actually subscribe to this on Facebook. But until then, that's cool. This guy has the rest of the show.
Yeah, as Earl said, thank you to everyone who tuned in this evening, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We do appreciate you. Robert, Harry, Javi, Melanie, Chris, appreciate each and every one of you contributing to the show in some way this evening. And Marlena, can't forget Marlena or Maya. Can't leave either of them out either. We do appreciate you guys popping on over in the chat. As Earl said, you can obviously go like favorite, share, all that fun stuff on whatever platform you're watching on. All of that helps us. Make sure you listen to the podcast later in the week when it does go live on every major podcast platform, basically around the world. If we're not on the one that you use, please let us know. We will make sure the show gets on there. That's obviously that's number one, the biggest way to support the show. Earl said something about Stars. I guess Stars supports the show somehow. I don't know a whole lot about Stars over on Facebook, but you can do that. We have talked internally about starting a Patreon. Again, none of our content will ever be paywalled. Everything will come to you guys. But we do have costs that go along with the show. We do pay these out of our own pockets because we love doing this show. We love covering the club. We love being a part of things, and we want to be able to keep doing this. And again, I'm not saying we can't. We certainly can. But if you would like to support the show in any way, we'll always be here. Again, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Share. Stars. I mean, if we figure out the Patreon thing, we'll let you guys know. Just another way to support what we do. So
eventually what we might do, and Seth, I might talk to you about this one. The new thing that the kids are into right now is Kick. So we might somehow figure out Kick and get onto that. I don't know yet. Seth is the guy that's in charge of all that fun nonsense. I'm just the comedic relief. So I think Seth has some stuff, and then I have some message from our sponsors that we don't really have.
Yeah. If that's that. So I do know about Kick. That is something we can potentially do. We do have a Twitch channel, which Earl streams on occasionally. So with Kick, if we did that, it would be a separate streaming platform from StreamYard. There is no integration with Kick in StreamYard. So it would be a separate thing. And the only concern that I have would be bandwidth issues. That's the only concern that I have, but it's something that we can certainly do and look at if you would rather be on Kick or Twitch or whatever the case may be. But again, Wednesday night, Saturday night, New Mexico United, 2 matches at home, the first 2 of a 4-match homestand. You've gotten our predictions for Jacob, for Earl, for myself. We appreciate each and every one of you again. And until Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, we'll be back to break down both matches this week and talk about both matches next week. So expect a long show next week as well. Until next time, Somos Unidos.